going to be making mushroom masala and naan bread. So I'm going to start off first with the naan bread. We're going for a more healthy recipe today. Okay, so in this bowl here I have 300 grams of bread flour. I have a teaspoon of salt, and I also have half a teaspoon of baking powder. Now I'm going to do mine in my stand mixer, but you can do this by hand if you prefer. Okay, I'm just going to whoosh that a bit so that it all mixes together. And it's also made a nice well in the centre there for me. Into that I'm going to put, this is 150 mils of natural yoghurt. I'm also going to pop into there 25 grams of melted butter. So in that goes. This is really an easy recipe. In this jug I've got 7 grams of yeast, just dried yeast, with 2 teaspoons of sugar and 125 mils of water. I've left it to stand so it goes a little bit frothy, and what we've done in effect, apart from pour it everywhere, is we've activated that yeast. So I've got all of my ingredients in here now. So use my dough hook, or if you're just using a bowl, a wooden spoon or something strong, and you want to bring this to dough. Okay, that's all mixed together now. What I would do normally is put it onto my board and knead it by hand. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to do it in here. You would normally knead for about 10 minutes. In my food processor, maybe 4 or 5. As you can see, I've kneaded my dough until it's really elastic. So now I'm just going to oil my bowl a tad. Then I'm going to put my dough into the bowl. I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to leave this now to rise for probably an hour until it's doubled in size. While our naan bread is proving, we're going to crack on and we're going to make the mushroom masala. We need about 2 dessert spoons of oil. Now I'm using olive oil in mine, and we're just going to let the pan damp off. In this bowl I have a large yellow onion, and I've chopped it. So we're going to pop that in. I do have a video on a stew, and on that one I show you how to cut just about every vegetable known to man, including the most humongous red cabbage. So all we're going to do is let these mushrooms just soften down a tad. Oh, I can smell those already. Beautiful. Right, I'm going to turn my heat down a tad now, because what I want to do is start putting my spices in, and what I do not want to do is start burning them. So first of all, into here I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of ginger. Just keep that moving. We need to cook off our spices. This is a bit dangerous really, isn't it? It's not good. Ooh. Just go round and round and round. It'll be fine once I get a little bit of weight into that. So that was 1 teaspoon of ginger. So we put that to one side. I also want 1 teaspoon of garam masala into that. And I'm just really starting to smell those spices. Be careful, because what we don't want to do is burn them at all. There we go. The olive oil cooks at a slightly lower temperature than your regular oil. So, right, the next thing I'm going to put in is garlic. And of course, garlic is really good for you. Now that is about another teaspoon and a bit. So let's keep this moving. So all these flavours are melding beautifully. Next going in, if I can get the lid off, I don't like these ones very much. Next going in is, and this is quite hot, a teaspoon of chilli powder, chilli flakes I'm putting in. So this is getting quite fiery at the moment. And the last spice I'm going to put in is about half a teaspoon of turmeric or curcumin. So we're going to give these a bit of a saute. You can see they're all coloured beautifully and our spices are starting to cook. The next thing I'm going to put in are, it's about a pound, oops, I've thrown one over there, about a pound of sliced mushrooms. It's about 450 grams. So now I'm going to get this all melded together. Try and get my mushrooms sort of coated as well. They will coat as they cook. Right, now I'm going to turn my heat up because what I want to do is just cook these mushrooms down. There. We're still cooking the spices, don't forget, so be careful not to burn those. The next thing we're going to be putting in is tomato. Now you've got a couple of choices. You can use tomato puree or I'm about to use whole tomatoes. You can use fresh tomatoes as well, but I don't really want to use my fresh tomatoes today because I've got plans for those for something else. I think you'd probably put in 2 or 3 large tomatoes. So, using my really clever piece of kit here, I'm no good with these pouring things. Start this side. I'm going to open my tin while I carry on moving my mushrooms. Oh, and these are looking gorgeous now. Oh, smelling absolutely divine. I'm sure that's done by now. There we go. Take that off. And, oh, there goes my lid. I love this machine because nothing's sharp. It is beautiful. Right, we've softened down our mushrooms. So now, we've still got structure to those at the moment, but as you can see, the spices are all running through. In go my tomatoes. And I'm just going to chomp those down. Now we should start getting some juices arriving out of the mushrooms and everything. This is beautiful. I really thought this would stop spinning. I usually use the wok, but I thought you might be able to see better if I do this. So we're just going to leave this for a few minutes to finish cooking the spices and all those flavours go together. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is transfer this to a saucepan. I just did attempt this once and I've had an accident and got it everywhere. My hands are covered in turmeric now. So, I'm going to turn my heat off. Here we go. I'm going to transfer this to a saucepan now, very carefully, because I just tried to dip it in one go and I've dropped it everywhere. But this is what I do, isn't it? I make a lot of mess, me. Right, I'll get as much out as I can and put into my saucepan. without making too much mess, hopefully. If I was doing this on my hob, this would not be jumping about all over the place like it is here. So I'm risking life and limb for you here. Hopefully that's going to go in without going everywhere. That's better. Look at the state of this cooker. I'm going to have to give that a thoroughly good clean. What I'm going to do is put a lid on here now, and I'm going to simmer this for about 20 minutes with the lid on, not doing anything else with that. I'll see you when I finish doing that. Well, my masala has been bubbling away beautifully for around 20 minutes, and I've got this beautiful sauce in here. Absolutely smells divine. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put in some cream. You don't have to use cream. You can use soy milk if you prefer, and just keep this totally vegetarian. The other thing you can do, if you really want to, if you're an absolute carnivore, is you could chop some chicken, and when you come to simmer it, just fry off the chicken, chuck it in and simmer for 20 minutes. Now look at this sauce. That is beautiful. Now I'm going to leave that to stand now while I make up my naan bread. My dough has doubled in size. So now I need to put it onto a flour ball. Oh, look at that. Now, all we're going to do is give it a bit of a knockback, as you would any other type of bread. Oh, this is beautiful. Really elasticy and beautiful. We're going to just make it into a sort of even-sized sausage. Now, you can get 6 big naan breads out of this. I'm going to go for smaller ones because we quite like the smaller ones. So I'm going to mark it up. That's round about half, maybe. I'm not very good at this. I'm going to do 8 out of mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I have done 8. That's good. 7, 8. We like them slightly smaller. Now what I'm going to do is just knead each one of these into a ball, and I'm going to sprinkle a few nigella seeds onto it. Just a few. There we go. So there we go. I'm going to make these into little balls-ish. There's one. A few more of my nigella seeds. So all we're doing is putting a few nigella seeds through this. We've got now our 8 balls here. Okay, so all we're going to do now is cover these with a tea towel and leave these just to rest for 15 minutes. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be heating up my pan, because we're going to cook these in the skillet. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, I'm all organised. I've got some flour, my rolling pin, and I've also got a spatula, because we're now going to prep and cook a beautiful naan bread. So, I'm going to start with this little small one first, because it is tiny. These ones are for me, these are for everyone else. So, just get those out of the way and give myself a little bit of space. I think I'm going to have to use the front camera for this bit, and I can use both cameras for the other. Right, just push your naan bread down we've rested it now for 15 minutes. So this is great. Right, we're going to roll this way. And then I need to turn it round to do it. We're also going to roll it that way. So we end up with like a teardrop shape. That could go just a tad bigger, I think. There we go. Oh, look at that. That's actually looking quite prettiful. Now this is going to go straight into my hot pan. While that's in there, I'll prep another one. There we go. So, roll one way. And as I said, I need to turn this round and roll it, oops, the other way. So that we can get a sort of teardrop shape. Now, if you were doing 6 of these, you would get much bigger than this. You roll them out to be fairly thin. You put this in, just directly in a very hot pan, like this, mind your fingers. And you leave them now until they start to bubble on one side. I've got myself here some melted butter, and I've also got a pan to put these into. I can't get all of this in shot, unfortunately. So I'm going to prep a next one. Push it down, roll it. I've not got a lot of room here, have I? But we'll live. So, roll it fairly thin in a long shape. Turn it round. I'm keeping an eye on this while I'm doing this. And then go the other way so that you get that sort of naan bread shape. As I said, this is not, I'm not brilliant at this, but there you go. Right, if you look in the pan, here, you can just start seeing some bubbles rising up in the breads. And you can hear they're quite cooked on the bottom. When we start seeing the bubbles here, that's the time to turn it over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly go over them then with some melted butter, and I'm going to stack them over here. Right, this one is about ready to go. Look at that. Bit of melted butter on there. Carefully, because of my spinny pan. This is much better if I do it over there, because this doesn't spin and this can look quite dangerous, can't it? You just cook this for a little while on the other side into your pan. Now look, that is gorgeous. I don't even know if you could see that. Beautiful. And what we're going to do is only butter the one side. Put it down. The next one can go in. This one's ready to turn. There we go. So I'm going to butter that. I've got a little bit on the saucepan, but it doesn't matter. Frying pan, whatever, skillet. Right, we're going to just leave that to cook off a bit, and we're going to get the next one ready. You don't need loads of flour for these. Right, see if I can get a better shape with this one in the sparse piece of room I have here. There we go, that's looking quite good so far. Tends to be wider at the bottom, doesn't it, naan bread? Oh, this one's ready to go. You see the bubbles appeared? And that one can come out and stack on top of the other one. And you just continue through your naan breads. So I'm going to carry on and do these. My curry's all made and ready to go. My naan breads I'm just going to finish off, and I shall see you for a taste test when I'm done. Well, I have my beautiful naan breads all ready. What I'll do is I'll just cover these and then I'll reheat them on this pan a little bit later for the rest of the family. Now this, oh, look at it, it looks gorgeous. I'm going to nick one of these to try it. Beautiful, light as a feather. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to try my curry. Oh, that is good. That is good. When you first start making this, it looks really like it's going to be dry. But by the time you've simmered this for 20 minutes, excuse me. By the time you've simmered this for 20 minutes and all those juices arrive, it just looks beautiful. It is stunning. Oh, that was wonderful. Those mushrooms are so good for you. It's wicked. It really was a simple recipe. Honestly, so simple. I know my frying pan tends to fly all over the place on the little cooker that I've got. When I'm working on my hob, that's not an issue at all. So don't be frightened of doing this. What a beautiful meal. You can easily feed 4 people with this. The beauty of curry is it gets better as it matures. And so, you can serve this up another day. I don't like to freeze mushrooms because I think it gives them a funny flavour. And this is so much nicer when it's not being frozen. So, I would serve up my beautiful naan breads, which are just so light. Oh, just so light. I will probably have this today and tomorrow, and nobody is going to complain. Well, if you liked what you saw, please like, share and subscribe to see me making some more delicious homemade food. Thank you for watching.